Welcome back to another video. Now we're getting a little bit closer to Christmas and we're gonna have a full 2022 year in review video up on Christmas Eve. But today, we're gonna take a little bit of a different route. We're gonna do something a little bit more candid. This isn't particularly scripted. I wanna talk to you about my favorite camera that I've used this year. Now I've used a lot of cameras. While I was going back over the year, all the different cameras, I cannot actually believe how many cameras there were, and it feels like we pretty much got a camera from everyone. And there's a lot of good cameras out there. This job has changed quite a bit since when I first started, because now pretty much every camera is at least very good. It is true that some have lacked certain things or maybe could have been better, and some are just absolutely ridiculously good. But I would say at this point, to a degree, every camera that I get through for review is at least very, very good. And generally speaking, that will be for photography and for video. Things are just so out of this world now, you know, autofocus, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. When I think about how autofocus used to work, and then you think about what it's like now, it is ridiculous how good it is, and it just keeps getting better. It makes photography so accessible to so many people. I never use manual focus now. There's no reason for me to ever use it. I use eye tracking for events, for portrait shoots, for wedding shoots. I use autofocus when I'm shooting video, like right now, for example. I can use tracking to actually have my camera on a tripod. I can move around, I can do things that way. It's absolutely outrageous how good things are. So with all that said, I don't think there's a camera that I've used this year that I didn't like. But there are cameras that have impressed me more than others. So let's run through a few of them, and then I'm going to tell you my favorite camera, and I've given this quite a bit of thought, that I've used this year. Before we get into those cameras, I do want to give a special shout out to some of the cameras that I still use all the time that didn't come out this year. The A7 III. The Sony A7 III, what a workhorse of a camera. I still use that. I'm filming it right now, and I absolutely adore that camera. It's a little bit older now, but it is so good, and I use that. Oh, that's my go-to camera for pretty much all of this stuff. For a lot of professional work, whether it be photo or video, I've shot loads of promo videos on an A7 III, and I absolutely love it. The Canon R5, whoo, what a camera. I know it had a bit of an overheating kind of whole thing. Personally, it's never affected me, not even once. And I love it. I love it. I think it's a fantastic camera. The A7 IV as well, great upgrade to the A7 III. And of course, stuff like the Nikon Z9. I've not had as much time with that camera, but oh, that was crazy when I got to test that out. But enough of the older cameras. What about the cameras that have come out this year? So this is a personal take on all of these cameras that have come out this year. I'm a hybrid shooter, right? So I do a lot of professional work that involves photography and video. So I have to have a camera that's able to do both to a pretty decent level. So for example, the Sony FX30, lovely camera, really, really great, but it's very much a video camera. And it doesn't work so well for me personally as a kind of go-to camera, because I need something that's more of a hybrid system. The Fujifilm X-H2, the X-H2S, and of course the X-T5, all great cameras that came out this year. Really enjoyed using all of them. The X-T5 felt a little bit more like a photography camera, and I think as a photography camera, it is superb. The X-H2S, bit more of a videography camera, and then the X-H2, a great option as a hybrid. And I really like the film simulations that you get in Fujifilm cameras as well. So that's a strong contender for one of the cameras I really liked. Of course, the Sony A7R5, actually a super strong hybrid camera. Yes, beautiful image quality, that autofocus, which is just outrageous on Sony cameras, has been improved with AI learning again, but actually really good for video as well. In fact, I would say surprisingly good, and certainly one that I could see myself using probably over the A1, which is probably the Sony flagship camera. Now, we did a video comparing those two, and I think for me, the A7R5 would be the camera that I would choose. Of course, we also saw things like the Canon R5C, great camera, but again, probably more focused towards a video than I would personally want. We had the Canon R7 and the R10. Now, the R7, I could see myself using a lot. That's a great hybrid option again. APS-C sensor, great for wildlife, great for sports. Probably for me, that would make a great second camera to something like the R5. Oh, that would be such a great setup between those two. We also saw the R6 II come out later in the year, which again, really enjoyed using. Great upgrade from the original R6. You can see a pattern here. These are all good cameras, right? We saw some vlogging cameras, stuff like the Sony ZV-1F, the Nikon Z30, both great as kind of vlogging options, probably not quite enough power for me to use professionally though, which leaves one very notable omission from all the cameras that we've talked about, and probably my favorite camera that I've used this year. And that is the OM System OM1. And let me tell you, if you told me at the start of the year that I would call that my favorite camera of 2022? Nope. No way would I believe that. No way. Here's what I would have thought about that, right? I'm sure it's a lovely camera, but there is no world where I would pick that camera as my favorite. And yet here we are at the end of the year. That camera is the most surprising camera I have ever used. I was completely ready to think that that was fine. I was completely prepared when I had that camera to just assume it's okay. It's a fine camera. We also saw the OM5, which was absolutely fine, perfectly usable, nice camera. But the OM1, wow. I just wasn't ready for how much I would enjoy using it. And that's a big part of photography, right? You can't ignore the fun, the enjoyable part of the process. And with the OM1, I really was just having a really good time using the camera. Photography, video, both were fantastic. The autofocus was so much better than I was expecting it to be. The colors look fantastic. The way the menus work, all of the additional features that you can use within the camera. I'm someone who likes to shoot a lot of different types of photography. So for example, I'll go out and shoot a night sky photo. The next day I'll do a portrait session. The next day I'm shooting wildlife, and there's all kinds of different stuff. And with the OM1, it felt like there was a lot of features in the camera to help me with each individual type of photography I might want to try out. I tried that camera out in all kinds of different situations, in the city, low light, after dark, up on the downs doing, landscape photography, trying to do a little bit of wildlife photography, trying to do some portrait stuff, really trying to get to grips with this camera, because the more I used it, the more it was surprising me. And the more I felt like I needed to use it some more to find out where this will end. I really cannot overstate how good the OM1 is. And that's coming from someone who really didn't expect to say that. I thought it'd be fine. I thought it'd be absolutely fine. But I didn't expect it to be my favorite camera that I've used this year. And even now, when I think back to my time with that camera, oh, what a great time. What a great camera. Cannot get over it. I cannot get over it. However, that is a completely personal opinion. If someone gives me an A7R5, I'm certainly not going to be upset about it. I'd love to know what your favorite camera was from 2022. You don't have to pick a camera that came out this year. I'd love to know if you have a favorite one that came out this year. But of course, feel free to tell me if you have a favorite camera that didn't come out this year. Maybe you've just got a Nikon Z9. Oh, let me tell you, I'm sure you're having a good time if that's what happened. Maybe you just got something else, or maybe you're very, very happy with something that you bought a few years ago. I'm very happy with my Sony a7 III for sure, and I love things like the Canon R5, so I could totally understand that. I'd love to hear your favorite camera of 2022 and the camera that you love using at the moment. Let me know down in the comments. Of course, there'll be a full list of all the kit, everything that I've talked about down in the description, so you can go and check that out for yourself, of course, including the beautiful OM1. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We've got new videos all the time. I will see you again in the next video. But until then, as always, thanks for watching.